This is my audience.
According to American Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, about 7.6 million animals enter shelter each year, and about 2.7 animals are euthanized each year. These animals are put in shelters because of neglectful homes or unloving owners. Most of these animals have done nothing to deserve the fate of trapped in life in a cage. As a result of this, animal overpopulation is becoming a big problem all over the world, but euthanizing animals can be controlled by adopting rather than buying. Most people are not aware how easy it is to adopt a pet from a shelter instead of buying from a pet store. Adopting is the most humane option because it takes helpless animals out of a cage and can possibly even save one's life. There are many shelters across the country that put animals to sleep because of overcrowding. This problem can easily be fixed and millions of animals can be saved. Pet owners believe that there are better pets at stores. However, people can find a good pet nearly half the cost at a rescue shelter. There is no reason that animals should be stuck in cages their whole life or euthanized just because of the fact that there is no room for them. People around the world need to consider the option of adopting an animal from a shelter and possibly saving a life rather than buying one from the pet store. There are too many animals in the world that are being euthanized in last resort shelters or sitting in a cage all day waiting to be rescued. About half of the animals in shelters were given up by their owners, while the other half were picked up off the streets. There are many myths about animals in the shelter that need to be proven wrong. People tend to believe that animals in shelters have bad behavior when most animals there are rescued from being neglected or have been in a bad environment, which can make them suffer and have anxiety and relationship issues. There are many animals that can bring joy to families for a fraction of the cost if people were to search the rescue centers or shelters. Also, most people are very particular in animals they are looking for, but they can easily search for a particular breed they want at the local shelters, or many rescue organizations actually support a specific breed that can easily be found on the internet. All animals in shelters deserve a new home where they can be accepted or somewhere they can enjoy the short years that they have on this earth. There are millions of animals all around the world suffering from the feeling of being abandoned. Animals do not deserve to be left in a cage all day with no free time. Animals need to be able to run around, play, and exercise. It is not healthy for any animal to sit in a cage all day, and it results in a shorter lifespan. If animals do not receive the proper amount of exercise, they can result with health issues. Animals can have high stress levels if stuck in cages all day. Animals can become more stressed from a change in environment, which can lead to numbers of sick animals. When animals are moved out of their comfort zone to an unfamiliar place, they can become more stressed and even become ill. Just like humans, animals can feel like they are not in the right place and they wish to escape, just as humans act when they are in an uncomfortable place. Animals deserve loving care and do not deserve to be stuck in cages all day. Overpopulation of animals is a real problem in the world, which will not go away, but humans can save the overpopulated animals from being euthanized by choosing to adopt rather than buy. People should realize how easy it is to save a life. If anyone looking for an animal enters the last resort shelter or a humane society, they should easily be able to discover an animal they are looking for. People are not aware of how many animals there really are in the shelters. Overpopulation is making it harder for shelters to keep animals. There are much larger numbers of animals being born compared to the number of humans being born. 2,000 dogs and 3,500 cats are born every hour in the U.S., compared to only 415 human babies. Although the problem of overpopulation will not go away so easily, a solution to control the number of animals being euthanized to rescue them from the shelters. This will continue to happen, unfortunately, if animals in shelters are not being rescued. People should go in the shelters open-minded when they're looking for an animal and be able to save a life. If people keep their mind set on a certain animal, they could be missing out on a great one. Rescuing an animal from a shelter is a better alternative than buying an animal from the store. Adopting from shelters is a lot more cost effective rather than going to pet stores. Prices vary from place to place, but generally cheaper to adopt from the shelter. Many animals from shelters are fully vaccinated, spayed, and neutered, which can save people a lot of money. But there are also a lot of people who are biased about spaying and neutering. It will not change a pet's basic personality. Others also believe it is expensive to have pets spayed and neutered. Generally, this procedure costs less than $100. But usually shelters have all their animals spayed or neutered. The cost of having a pregnant female is much higher than the cost of spaying. In other words, adopting from an animal from the shelter, which is fully vaccinated and fixed, is more cost effective than buying an animal from the pet store. Another way to reduce the cost would be searching for a mixed pet breed. Pure-breed animals sometimes have more inbreeding and can cause genetic diseases. This can lead to higher veterinary bills. This means that animals can be adopted from a shelter for a fraction of the cost rather than buying from the store. Overall, adopting an animal from a shelter can be more cost effective than buying one from the store. Prospective pet buyers may say that the animals in the store are better quality. The animals at the store may seem like better animals, but there are plenty of animals that are stuck in shelters that are just as good as the animals in the store. Also, many pet buyers look for a purebred animal in search, while they do not realize animal shelters house many purebreds. On average, purebreds account for 25% of the shelter dog population. Prospective pet owners must consider checking their local animal shelter when looking for a purebred before going to the pet store. Most of the animals stuck in the shelter backgrounds have been abused or neglected and do not know why they are stuck behind metal doors. A lot of them do not deserve to be stuck thinking they did something wrong just because unnecessary neglect they have been through. Animals are just fun-loving creatures and deserve to be welcomed in a family that will show them a better life than they previously had. Animals that go their whole life being locked up and having no clue why they deserve the life they lived. Whether young or old, all animals are willing to be a part of a loving family. People need to realize that animals in shelters are just as good, if not better quality, than the animals in stores. People need to be aware of the amount of animal shelters and how easy it is to rescue them. Animals do not deserve to be stuck in cages with no exercise. Animals in last resort shelters need to be rescued so their lives can be spared. Also, adopting from the shelter is more cost effective. If people would consider to go to the shelter and see amazing animals that are stuck, they would realize how much of a terrible thing it is to buy from the pet stores. Anyone willing to be a pet owner should see how miserable these animals are. Any loving pet owner could not bear to see the depressing signs of animals trapped in their cages. Overpopulation needs to be taken care of. There are about 8 to 10 million animals put in shelters each year, but only 3,000 to 5,000 animals are being adopted from them. The overpopulation of animals around the world is going to be a problem for years to come, and it is a job of humans to make sure that these animals are not abused or neglected. So when considering a pet, think about saving an animal's life by adopting from the shelter rather than from the store.